Well, good morning, everybody. Pastor Randy Fry, Gower Christian Church. Right here from Studio 2 Bravo, Gower, in the massive Gower Christian Media Complex. 7 minutes with a Savior. There's the timer to keep me kind of honest. I know I go over a little bit. We heard Kristen Giffen playing a little bit of Now Thank We All Our God on the piano. Kristen's one of our great accompanists that plays for us on Sunday mornings, and so I share that with you today. It's a significant day in my life. I was telling Missy this morning, as I wrote out my journal this morning, I go, November 12th. What's important? The date seems to be important. November 4th, or November 12th, what's all about that? And then I'm pumping gas at Casey's so I can get back to church without running out of gas. And it dawned on me, this is the 4th anniversary of the start of my ministry here at Gower Christian Church, and what a blessing it has been. I started out. My first day of ministry was the fall dinner, which is just one of the touchstone events that we have here that unfortunately we're not able to do this year because of the COVID stuff. But I wanted to get here in time to participate in fall dinner because I knew that a lot of fall life at the church focused around that event, and I wanted to be a part of it. But some scriptures that have just been with me for a long time, but certainly this is appropriate for this time. Psalm 16 has been an important one that I've kept in mind my whole, for years. It's been an important verse for me, and Psalm 16 goes like this: Lord, you are my portion and my cup of blessing. You hold my future. The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Indeed, I have a beautiful inheritance. That's that phrase. The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. In ministry, you don't stay, especially in the early years, you don't stay in one place for a long time. You work a ministry for 3 or 4 years, and you move on to another ministry, and that certainly was the case for me. And every time I moved to a different church, I stayed a little bit longer. 3 years at the first place, 7 years at the second place, 14 years in the last church before I came here to Lockhart. And every time I had that sense that as God was moving me around, that the boundary lines had fallen in pleasant places, that I was in the place that God wanted me to be, that God was holding my future, and that God indeed was my portion and a cup of blessing, that God was caring for us. And no more was that clear than in between ministry time 4.5 years ago, when we had to rely mainly on Rhonda's income as a child care worker for all through the summer, where I was told the prospects of finding another church would be pretty slim because of my age and all sorts of things. But there was a place, there was a boundary, a new boundary line for me that I didn't know about. That, if I were to tell the story, and Gene Schneider and I were talking about it just yesterday, if I were to tell you the story about the unusual twists and turns that came to be that led to my calling here in Gower, it's an amazing story of God's direction and God marrying me up, so to speak, with a new place and with new people who've been very supportive and very faithful, and really especially showing that in the last 6 months here with all the coronavirus stuff. But it reminds me also of Jesus' words, Jesus' promise that Jesus came to give us life, and life abundantly, and life of joy. Not necessarily an easy life, not necessarily a life without complications or hardships. In fact, Jesus makes our persevering, the things we have to persevere through, that broadens our faith if we look at it from the perspective of faith. We have stronger character when we persevere through those things. And then also Jesus' promise at the end of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, I'm with you always, until the end of the age, until he comes back. And those things have stuck with me, and I celebrate those with gratitude here on the 4th anniversary of my ministry here in Gower. But there's important things for us to keep in mind too. God is our portion and our cup of blessing. God is holding our future, and it's meant to be a good future for us. And I think if you look back in gratitude, you will see how the boundary lines for your lives have fallen in pleasant places. Learning, that's my thought for today. Prayer concern wise, just learning more and more about congregation members affected, having contracted COVID-19, several more of our nursing home folks aware that Mike Frazier and Miles Mitchell both have been dealing with it. I think they're fine, but it takes the wind out of your sails. So remember Mike and Jean Biondo, and Maxine and Jerry Jackson, and Sharon Elfritz's brother Bob Everett, and Miles and Mike, and I'm sure I've probably skipped over a couple of names that are important, but remember them. Pretty standard week of ministry stuff coming up, but certainly make note of worship this Sunday at 10:30. We continue to meet in our sanctuary at 10:30 on Sunday mornings, but we continue our live stream too. We're blessed with the more powerful computers, so that streaming issues have been pretty much resolved, and those streams start at about 10:15 to get ready for the 10:30 service, and you can find them on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Anyway, God bless you. Great to have you tune in this morning, and until we meet again virtually or in person, I bid you peace.